Hello and welcome to SHRP Talk, the show by washed-up athletes for washed-up athletes looking to be their best self. On today's episode, Brandon and I were joined by our cousin Kayla Engleman. Kayla is a former college basketball player at Morningside College and current nurse and owner of Next Level Health and Fitness based out of Rock Rapids with a location based in Larchwood as well. We dive into her upbringing and background, talking a little bit about her athletic background, getting into basketball and track throughout high school, and then a little bit into her basketball career, and then ultimately into her fitness journey beyond athletics, going through the experience of having 7 kids and navigating her fitness journey through that, and then ultimately starting up Next Level Health and Fitness after getting certified as a personal trainer. So just really cool to hear her journey of starting up a business and just designing these workout classes and improving it and evolving it over time in so many ways. Just a great conversation overall, just hearing her perspective of how she handles juggling a business, a job, having 7 children running around, and still being able to excel at all those things. So just a great perspective and great hearing her background and the impact that she's having and how she's done it. So thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoy. Before we get rolling with today's episode, I want to take a minute to tell you about SHRP Training. Snyder Health, Recovery, and Performance Training is designed for former athletes to improve their physical, mental, and spiritual health. For only $12 a month, you can choose a training plan that is catered to your needs, interests, and goals, with new programs delivered each month through the TeamBuilder app. You'll also receive 24/7 messaging and feedback from coaches, access to an exclusive Discord to continually learn and be encouraged by others, a 20% discount on Thorne supplements, and access to the Sharp Edge, the ultimate guide to upgrading your diet, sleep, and life. Iron sharpens iron, so let us help you become your sharpest self. Now let's go. We can go ahead and get rolling. If you just want to go ahead and just give a little bio, a little background about who you are, and then we can dive deeper into all sorts of stuff here.
All right, perfect. Well, my name is Kayla Engleman. I am married to my high school sweetheart, and we have 7 kiddos that keep us very busy. I am a nurse by trade, so I actually went to college at Morningside, played basketball there, and got my RN with my BSN. We're about 15 years out now, so that'll age me. But in the last couple of years, kind of decided I wanted to get a little bit more into the fitness world. So 3 years ago, I went back and got just my personal training along with my nutrition coaching with it, and dove into this business world and fitness world, and yeah, the sky's the limit from there.
Yeah, love it. What certifications did you end up getting to get rolling?
To get rolling, I started with personal training, the nutrition coaching, and then I did group fitness as well. When I first started, I kind of didn't know where we were going to go with things, but I had reached out to some people in town, and there was a small handful of women that kind of wanted the group fitness more than like a one-on-one personal training. And so I went ahead and added that certification to just kind of go down that path. And then since then, I've added quite a few other smaller ones, just class specific as well. So I've got a specialty in strength. I've got a box. I actually have a cycling. I've never had to use it, or we don't have any cycling here, but I have it. And then added
on the horizon, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. We got a whole upstairs. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
But yeah, then added some sculpt and a Pilates bar mix class that we offer as well. And then I'm currently working on a stretching and mobility one, as well as an aging, kind of a senior class. So.
That's awesome. Are those all get those online or like in-person courses, or what do those look like?
They have all been online. The personal training one was like an actual proctored exam, still online, but had a little bit more of like that class atmosphere. And then all of the other ones have just been self-paced. I shouldn't say that, I guess the specific classes that I've done have been in person. So I've gone to some other studios for some education with that.
Mm-hmm. Any one of those you feel like has been the most like helpful or maybe insightful, like knowledge that you didn't know beforehand, or just kind of more so to make yourself well-rounded?
Probably more so just because of my nursing background, more so to just be well-rounded. I'm a very firm believer, and I don't want to offer something that isn't backed up by education or those studies that on kind of proper form and different things like that. So it wasn't anything too earth shattering for me since I had the nursing background, but definitely kind of fine tuned some stuff. And then you kind of are able to just pick up a little bit here and there and put it all together.
Yeah, I love it. And you're still doing some nursing as well currently?
I am, yes. Yep. I've stepped back quite a bit from that. I actually went part-time after we had our third. So I was just working like 3 days a week. And then once the business took off and kind of started going down this road, I just do a day to a day and a half a week now.
Okay.
And
Sick.
I actually I do diabetic education with that. So I spent about 12 years in surgery. And then when I made that switch to go into less time, I also made the switch to diabetic education. So I feel like that has paired really well with, the things that I've learned in my continuing ed with nursing and diabetics has paired really well with the fitness world and the nutrition, all that good stuff. So it's been kind of fun.
Yeah, for sure. What do you kind of see as how has that made you a better nurse, and maybe vice versa? How has your nursing affected maybe your views at like nutrition or personal training? Like how have they influenced each other?
Yeah, for sure. I think every week I constantly am meeting with diabetics and I'm pulling ideas from, how to make better choices and how to stick with it from things that I am saying and learning in the fitness world. And vice versa, when somebody from class comes to me and is asking for like different nutrition tips and stuff like that, I feel like I have a good background in being able to give those tips and just knowing the metabolism and the blood sugar and that type of information being brought over to this world.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know a ton about type 1, but just also being in the nutrition and fitness world have learned a lot more about type 2, just how more prevalent it is. And I'm sure has you have like a steady increase in like clientele or like people you're working with throughout the years as those rates have risen?
Yes, for sure. And it's interesting. I don't really like combine those worlds as far as like my patients don't necessarily come here. I mean, you have to kind of keep that a little bit separate. But I've had members at Next Level that have talked to me and said, I went and I had my yearly exam done. My blood sugar was high. My cholesterol was high. Like these things and are going on. And I decided it was time to take care of my body and myself a little bit more. And then it's absolutely amazing to see them come back 6 months later or a year later. And then they share those results with me. And so like, obviously I understand those results a little bit more from my nursing side, but to hear like how much that fitness and adding exercise into their routine has naturally without medication brought those numbers back into range. So that's super rewarding.
Yeah, I've seen so many stories of people being like stuck with it for years and then like how quickly reversible it is just by doing those simple things like exercise and nutrition, like within months just seeing a lot of those symptoms reverse. It really is like magic pill, and people, we look for easier solutions a lot, but really just when you get that exercise nutrition nailed down and you're consistent with it for months, I mean, yeah, it's crazy what kind of payoff that can have. So that's pretty cool to see firsthand.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the most challenging part is exactly what you said there is it's not the easy choice. Like it's a lot easier to just take a pill each day. But long-term it's the better choice. And yeah, it's really cool to see that.
Yeah. It's the old thing of choose your hard. Like it's hard to live that way, live with a disease like that, but and it's hard to get up and work out and eat well every day. And it's just, which one has a more rewarding lifestyle and payoff. And so I think just when you frame it that way, it makes that decision not necessarily easier, but a little bit more sustainable when you have that why, for sure.
Yep.
Getting into your background a little bit, growing up, I'm curious. Obviously ended up playing basketball, but what was your athletic background growing up early on, and I guess growing up with your siblings and family, playing sports with them as well? What did it look like growing up?
Yeah, well, Hoga being in the bloodline there, so competitive comes natural to me since I was very young. Then all the way through high school, pretty much did all the sports. Basketball and running were definitely my loves. But yeah, was active in all of them, from the basketball, running to dance team and so on. We were very fortunate to have very good running. So I did cross country and track both, state qualifier, but all in both those sports, all 4 years and whatnot. So I think that mentality and the coaches that I had in my running career very much gave me a certain mindset and prepared me for my future in college, as well as in kind of the business world. And then for basketball in high school, it was my dad. And that was amazing in itself. And he instilled a lot of those habits as well. Not always easy, but it was a very, very good experience for me. And just prepared me. So then in college, I was actually recruited for both basketball and track. My freshman year, I planned on doing both, but after our basketball season got done, late March, decided that I was going to just take a month off, and then basketball starts right up again. So I decided to stick with just basketball in college. But again, I had a hard coach, and he challenged me, and in the moment, it wasn't always easy, like you are well aware, but it makes us better people and definitely prepares us for all of our future, no matter what avenue you go down.
Yeah, for sure. Did you do any like volleyball or softball or any other sports growing up or into high school?
I did softball into high school a little bit, not all 4 years. I did not do volleyball. So in 7th grade, I made the flip from volleyball to cross country, and we had a lot of kids in cross country. We had, I bet we had 12 to 15 girls in cross country, and it was a pretty tight knit team. And so that was kind of the route I did for my fall sports.
Gotcha. And then track, what events were your main ones there?
Yeah. I shortened up my distance in track. I did more 4s and 8s. Kind of did all the long distance stuff in cross country, and then when track season rolled around, I really enjoyed doing the 4s and 8s. I did a couple individual. I would run them individual, but then I would also do them in, we had 4x4, a distance med and a sprint med team that were pretty solid.
Yeah. Do you still do any running today, or have you gotten into running at all beyond your like high school, college career?
Dabble in it. I have done some running post-college. Jason and I have done a few different races. We did do a half marathon a few years back. Definitely a few bucket list things with running, but I'm not terribly consistent with it.
Yeah. Jaden's way down that rabbit hole, and he's doing a bunch of like 30 some miles every week. And I can't recall the last time I ran more than 2 miles, if ever. So I don't know if I'll ever go down that route, but
I know that's, the half marathon. Well, hey, Brandon.
Well, what's up, dude?
Fashionably late. What's up? Hi, Kayla. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too. How are you?
Great to be here. I'm excited. This is awesome. So I know you guys have gotten started, but I'm excited to be here, and I definitely have questions, and I apologize. So we're here. Let's go.
We're just talking about running, Brandon. Your favorite thing in the world.
Running. I know it's about that time. I think it's really hard to run in the winter, but I'm excited to like get back to it. Last summer was my first summer, so it's totally different.
So now are you motivated by races? Do you start some races? No, just
no way. I'm motivated by like last night I played basketball for 2 hours. So like for me, it's like if that can get easier and if I can make sure that my body's healthy to like have a better chance of like withstanding that for a little bit longer, then I'm going to do it, because I don't know, when I run, there's obviously weaknesses that show up, and it's like the same things that show up when I play basketball. So, for me, like my knees have a lot to do with that, and muscles not firing the way they should from surgeries. So I'm trying to like I feel like my left Achilles is just like not like firing the way it should, and like I just don't want to be one of those 30-year-old guys that tears his Achilles or whatever. So I'm trying to, that's how I view running right now for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like that's my motivation. So
yeah, absolutely. I think that's a lot of our motivation, whatever you're doing, strength training, these classes, running, whatever it is, it's kind of to prevent and to push off all those things 10 years down the road, not necessarily what today is bringing.
Yeah, for sure.
And just to feel like more energetic. I feel like it just helps your energy throughout the day with all the things that life throws at you, unexpected things for you kids for sure.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's like the busyness of my job. So more kids, but like, I feel like it puts me in like, if I do that, then I can, you know what I mean, feel better doing all this stuff. So
For sure. I actually had a member, when we made the switch over to the new building, she kind of did a little post and put it together, and it was the coolest thing in the world. And she said that exact same thing. She's like, I'm not always like I don't always see the weight loss. I don't always see the muscle gain. I don't always see like whatever else people are like jumping on board for. But she said, I know every day that I force myself to get out of bed at 5 a.m. I know by 6:15 I've completed the hardest part of my day. Like whatever life throws at me that day, like I'm good with it because I just completed the hardest part of it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a cool mentality.
Do you find that mentality? Like, is that something you use? I've never like necessarily had that mentality, so I think that's really cool. But I saw it as part of my day, not so more as like this is the hardest thing I'm going to do today. Like
Yeah.
everything else after this is easier. I guess that's just a little different.
Yeah, you just wait, you give it another 10, 15 years, and then I'll ask you.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually think that's probably, and maybe I am completely off here, but I would guess that's a little bit more of a maybe female mindset in the aspect that it's a lot easier like when you start having kids. And again, I'm not like this is not completely just females, but I can
This is
obviously
great.
speak
No,
to
you're
that
good.
a little bit
Keep
more.
going.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
keep
start
going. You're
having
good.
kids and you start
Yeah.
focusing your time and attention on them. And then all of a sudden you're here in your mid 30s and your kids are getting older and you just haven't paid attention to yourself for a very long time. And you're taking on
Yep.
stress of the kids and the to-do list and the finances and like the grocery list and like all these things. And so I feel like somehow when you get yourself, whatever your reason is, when you get yourself back to fitness, it is definitely like I just took 45 minutes of me time and now I complete like that is the hardest thing, whether it was a hard workout or whether it was just hard to
get up.
to get out of bed
get
or
up.
hard
Yeah.
to set aside 45 minutes of time instead of going to your to-do list and doing something else. Like
Yep.
whatever that hard actually is, you did it. And now
Yeah.
you're ready to face all those other things that have been beckoning at you for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily like how you do one thing is how you do everything. I think that's true in some cases, but I definitely think practicing discipline in one area definitely carries over into other areas of life. So if you can get that down with fitness, I think that definitely carries over to nutrition or taking care of your kids or your
Yep.
job. And I think that's why I love starting a day with that is, like you said, if it's the hardest thing you do or even just making that decision to get out of bed, I think that just carries over into the rest of the day. I know for me, even that's a big why, just continuing to train. And some people are like afternoon people. I know Jaden likes working out in the afternoon, but I think that's why I love it in the morning so much is I feel like it's just a great start to the day. Not only that sense of doing something hard, but just the cognitive effects, just feeling awake, a little caffeine with it to get you going. So I just feel like there's no better way to start the day.
If you're like task oriented at all, which I'm learning, I am much more task oriented than I ever thought I was. Like you just completed, like you just crossed off one thing to do right away in the morning.
Yeah.
And so like even that part of it is kind of a cool mental boost to start your day.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing about like classes too, is it just becomes a part of your schedule. Like you don't even have to think about it eventually. Like this is just part of my day. I don't have to, eventually you don't have to make that decision to wake up. It's just what you do. And I think that may be hard to get into, but eventually as soon as it just becomes part of your day, part of your habit, it suddenly becomes easier. Even if the workouts themselves are still hard, it just becomes part of what you're doing. And like I said, that carries over into other areas of life. It just becomes, part of your habits, part of what you're doing day to day. So
yes, absolutely.
Powerful stuff. When did you get started in the weight room? Was the weight room part of your like high school growing up or college or beyond? What did it look like for you first getting into it?
Well, it looked a heck of a lot different than it does now. We did not lift weights until going into high school was the first time that I touched any sort of weight. And now schools have these big fancy like attached weight rooms with all the equipment. We had to go outside into like a storage shed, like literally, I mean, the space was probably like 10 foot by 20 feet. It was so small, and there was just a few random machines and some really old iron dumbbells, and I'm pretty sure there were like mice all over. I mean, it was just something. And so lifting was not a big thing when we were younger. When we were in high school, they did move the weight room into an attached room in the school, but very, very small. Like you had one bench, one squat machine, you know, like not much at all. But it was at least attached to the school. So when I went to college, then you walked into this, you know, much more elaborate weight room. And that was really my first, like, okay, we're going to track what we're lifting, and we're going to set goals, and we're going to lift year round. And that was really my first experience with true lifting.
Did you have a good coach in college?
Yeah, I did. We kind of touched on this earlier. So I had Jamie Sales at Morningside, and he was a tough coach, and he didn't let you get by with much. But he was a really good coach, and he really brought out the best in people. And so I think he not only made me a better basketball player, but definitely kind of prepared me for just kind of tough things you face later in life too.
Would your basketball staff lead the lifts as well, or did you have a strength coach at that time, or who led your workouts?
Yeah, we did have a strength coach. He came, I think, this summer after my freshman year, if I remember right. And then we did a little bit. We added in some agility and some different stuff with him as well.
Mm-hmm. Did you enjoy that like right away, or did it take a while to get into, or did you hate it? What was the experience like with the weight room and agility stuff and all that?
Yeah, I was probably a typical 18-year-old girl, and I was like, oh man, I don't want to look like a guy and get buff or whatever. Obviously we all know that's not the case. But that was probably my first thought when we started really lifting heavier, and he was pushing us to throw more weight on the bar and all that stuff. As far as the agility stuff and kind of our summer program, I really enjoyed that. I feel like my track and cross country background kind of came through with that. So, you know, when we had a timed 400 at the end of our workout, I was like, all right, I got this. Like, that's my jam. So I think that really carried over. I never really minded that part.
Yeah. Do you still have, are there ladies that you work with who still have those same concerns that, like, do they ever come to you and are worried about getting bulky or anything like that? Do you still hear that quite a bit or no?
I don't hear it too terribly often. I'm pretty like kind of open book is my mentality here. So I do have people that'll constantly reach out via messages, emails, stuff like that, and ask questions about that, or have kind of a specific goal. Like, you know, basically, I think the new terms that you hear all the time too are like, I want to tone up without getting bulky type of thing. And so we just have that conversation. And like I said, I try to be very open book with everybody. If you have questions, please come to me, because most likely they're getting their resources off of something that's probably not the best site to be reading off of. It's just social media and all that is just so accessible now. So I like to please come to me, please ask questions. I'll give you some, you know, high quality resources that you can read and decide for yourself.
Yeah. I think that's not necessarily what I struggle with the most, but like I really enjoyed working with female athletes, and that was probably the biggest hurdle I had was like it's a valid concern for them. Because like my goal is to get them, you know, a better athlete or, you know, bigger, whatever it is. But they have a life off the court as well. And so it's just figuring out how to phrase it in a way or convey it in a way that, you know, gets through to them. And I think, you know, just being a guy, that was maybe more of an uphill battle in the first place. But I was just curious if you hear that a lot, but that's encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
And obviously that comes through, like you said, just talking with them and being upfront with them. So
Yep, for sure. And just kind of like saying, and I'm sure you get this all the time too, like kind of like hearing what their goals are and just saying like, we can cater and kind of steer towards that a little bit. I think something that probably helps me a little bit more too, is I've obviously been lifting very steadily for the last 3 years. And I'm not bulked up, you know, like, so I think people can look at me and say, okay, you're doing your own classes, you're doing your own program. Like, obviously it's not. And I think that in itself kind of just shows that is not a huge concern like people used to say it was too.
Yeah. Brandon, do you have any questions in regards to the basketball career at all? You're curious about anything?
Yeah, I don't know. I remember it faintly. I know you guys were successful, but I don't remember like all of the details, I guess. So yeah, I am curious. Like, what years were you there? Because Sales is still there,
He
or
was.
is that how you say it?
Yep. He was.
He's still there now. Because I was in Sioux City for like 2.5 years, and so he was in the gym a lot with like Sierra Mitchell, who was dating James, and like all their players, like Peppers, and so I don't know. It's the same coach, so I'm just curious. Like, yeah, on your basketball journey, that yeah,
Yeah.
love to know.
He used to coach right before I was there. He coached at Briarcliff. I bet like maybe it had been about 4 years or so that he had come over to Morningside before I was there. So he had been there for
Okay.
a few years. And so you had like, I don't know if you remember too, we had like Megan Cloud and Brittany Carper and stuff like that won back-to-back championships. And that was my senior year of high school. And so obviously
Oh,
they're
okay.
getting a lot of attention.
So you're going into back to back.
Oh yeah, yep, we were.
That's crazy.
No
Okay.
pressure, right?
Yep.
Like no pressure.
No, not at all. No.
But like you definitely
Jeez, that's
knew
crazy.
that they had high standards. You knew we had a good program and different things like that. Okay, if I'm going to be completely honest, I was, you guys know Northwestern is like a huge, our family, we've got a lot of family that's gone there. And so obviously my parents were pushing that, and I was going back and forth between the two. And Jamie and Jill was our assistant coach, and they came down one day during school. They took me out of school and they brought me to a Pizza Ranch buffet, and they were like, "What's it going to take to get you here?" And I legit was like, "This right here, like, let's have a Pizza Ranch buffet and let's hang out."
Yeah.
This is great.
That's
Awesome.
Yeah. What a great story.
Yeah, he liked to tell that in college too. He's like, all I had to do was buy her a pizza and we were going to go.
Yo, that's crazy. That's awesome.
No, they had a really good program. So then I was there from 2005 to 2009. Made the national tournament all 4 years.
Holy cows.
Yeah, we made, I think my freshman year, I think it was Sweet 16, and kind of each year got a little bit better. My junior year, we lost to Northwestern, I believe it was, in the Final Four. So then the senior year,
who did they have? Do you remember?
Yep, that was when they had Deb and Miranda Bookouts and that crew were seniors.
Yeah, that's a squad.
That had to be a battle. That had to have been a battle.
Oh yeah,
Was
and
it
it was
City?
every time we faced them, because it was always like us for the conference title. It was, like we faced them easily 3-4 times a year. Always a battle. But yeah, so they took it, then they took the title my junior year, and then my senior year, we came back and we actually had an undefeated season and took the title.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that was, you can't go out any better. That was pretty cool.
No.
Holy
storybook in
crap.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Now it's kind of funny
that's
because
really...
I run into a lot of those girls. I see Deb and Miranda quite frequently because our kids are starting to compete and some of the same stuff. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's good stories to tell for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
And then what got you down the nursing route? Were you always set on getting into that, or what did that look like post-career as well too?
Yeah. I like the hospital environment, the like blood and stuff like that never ever bothered me. So my mom always kind of joked. I remember one time my sister got bit by a dog, and I was probably like 10 years old, and my sister was maybe 7. And we went to the ER to get stitches, and my mom was about ready to pass out. And so I stood up at the table and held her hand and was like watching them do it all. So I feel like my parents always joked like it was going to be something medical for sure. But my sophomore year, we actually had a little bit of a scare and thought I had leukemia. I was really sick for a while, and some of my tests had come back that match what would be going on in your body with that. And so we happened to be down by Iowa City for my sister's gymnastics. And so we were in the Iowa City hospital for like a week. I really don't remember a lot of it. I was so down and out. But I do remember just the environment and the compassion from the nurses and different things like that. And I would say, so around that age, kind of sophomore year, 15, 16 years old, was definitely when I was like, this is something I want to do. I want to help other people. I want to be there for them. That type of thing. Yeah.
That's
And then
awesome.
both my parents were teachers, and I mean, now that teacher schedule looks great, but at the time I was like, I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to work the 8 to 4 and Monday through Friday and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah. Did you always live in the area, or did you move around at all after college?
we always lived in the area. I stayed in Sioux City for a year while Jason finished up. He took the 5-year track. And I worked at Mercy on an ortho neuro floor. And then he got a job in Rock Rapids, and I actually got a job right here too. And we've been here since.
There we go.
Yeah.
Solid. What so what did the fitness journey look like after college and up until next level? Was it a bunch of different things, or how did you stay active?
It was a big old roller
Post-college career?
coaster.
Roller coaster.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, for sure.
We ended up getting pregnant like just a couple months after we were married. And so that first pregnancy, honestly, I was personally scared to work out during it. So I just completely like didn't work out at all, aside from like walking. Um, Again, that's a very like old school scare. And I love to educate people on safely working out during pregnancy now. Probably some other certification I'll get down the road,
Yeah.
but that's definitely a passion of mine. Um, then I would do like okay, now I've had the baby and I'm a few months postpartum, and then I'd like hit something hard, and whether it was a race I signed up for and I was running, or we would hit, the school gym and hit some stuff up hard. And then I've had 7 kids in 13 years. So then I was pregnant again. And so it was very much like up and down, up and down. After our 6th was when I was kind of in that phase of life where I'm like, all right, like you fill out those forms or you go places and introduce yourself, and they're always like, what's your hobby? I'm like, I don't know. I have no hobbies. I have kids. Like I don't know what I would do for myself. And then you like go down this like little like self-reflecting path. And I would say that was when I kind of was like, yeah, like I kind of want to do something for myself now. Like I'm at that point in life. And so talked about this personal training, and Jason was super supportive. And I don't know how many times he said, I think you could help other people. Kind of the same mindset I had for nursing. Like he's like, I think you can help other people with this fitness too. And so, yeah, it was a Labor Day weekend, and there was some sale on NASM had a sale on their program. And so I signed up, and that kind of got the ball rolling there. And then obviously
Nice.
since then I've been very steady with it, and obviously seen the benefits of staying consistent with working out too.
Yeah. And then how did that lead to next level getting started up? Did you do any personal training outside of there, or did you get rolling with that right away? How did that get started?
I'm a very all or none person. And so once I was in, I was in. After I completed that, so like I said, it was a proctored exam. It was like the craziest thing. So I just did it online, and I had to like show them the room. It had to be completely empty. I had like a cup of coffee, and they're like, you can't have that in here. I had to like show them my hands, like my legs, my shoes, everything. Because you're on camera the whole time. So after I like finished that, then I feel like I hadn't really thought too far ahead. And then after that was all done, kind of started looking at what this looked like. I talked to some people in town, and that's like what I said earlier, where it seemed like there was more than just a handful of people. It seemed like there was a good little small group. So I never actually did any of the one-on-one, which actually in a small town too, it's not like we don't have like a gym that you can go to as easily to do kind of that one-on-one training. Yeah. So we went right away. We started looking, we got an LLC for next level, and we started looking at different places that would be a potential. We did have the opportunity to maybe either do like long-term lease or purchase buildings off the get-go, and we just weren't super comfortable doing that. We kind of wanted to feel it out for a while. So Allison's dance studio here in town, they just have dance 2 nights a week, and they were willing to rent it to us in the mornings. And so started renting that and kind of got going with small group right away.
And then just naturally kind of grew, I'm guessing, just word of mouth. What's the growth been like, especially that first year and beyond?
Yeah, you guys probably know this too. That is kind of growth is exciting, but also the hardest. Word of mouth. Like you're 100% right, because not everybody, reads the paper anymore, but not everybody's on social media anymore. And so there's this really kind of weird, there's so many platforms to try to advertise on. And I try to do that, and I try to support like our local newspaper, and I try to support different groups with donations and stuff just to get the name out there. But ultimately, there's just a lot of platforms that you have to try to kind of put yourself out there with. So definitely word of mouth is by far the best platform ultimately. So that helps a lot. Then, you kind of, I really like collaborating with other studios and businesses as well. So when I've gone to get some of these other certifications, I've met a lot of other fitness trainers like in the big cities, and then I've met a couple small studio owners. And so there's a group of probably like 7 of us that talk fairly regularly, and that's been wonderful to be like, hey, we did this promo, and you gotta bring a friend to class, you gotta share this on social media, you gotta do that or this or that. And so that's kind of helped everything grow a little bit more too.
Yeah. From the business side, what's it been like learning about that more? Has that just been kind of on the fly, go with the flow, or
Yes.
I guess those collabs have probably been helpful, but what's it been like being a business owner and getting it from that side?
I tell everybody, I was like, I have zero background in business, zero. Never took a business class in college, didn't do one in high school. So like I feel like I'm proud of how educated I am in providing these classes and giving information in the fitness world, the business world. I'm definitely on the fly most of the time, and I'm very, very grateful for small town people who give tips and my accountant who is keeping me in line with that side of things, because that is not my area for sure. Business and tech, I'm going to give those two. Not my area.
Yeah, we were talking about tech, but you made it to the podcast right away. Wi-Fi is good, so I'd say you're passing with flying colors.
Awesome, yes.
It is just a lot of stuff, though, isn't it? Right? Social media is a beast.
Yeah.
It is so difficult. And it's hard to keep it organic, and like you're still videoing, like, in a smaller space. So it's like you try to do it a little bit, but yeah, word of mouth for sure.
Yep, it is.
Especially when it's all local. Like, it's huge. Everyone talks. So
for sure,
if you do something good, it's going to get around.
And that was a little bit hard for me. So as like I started off doing this all myself, and then obviously as we expanded studios and rooms and classes, like I physically can't teach them all. And so as I started expanding and adding trainers on board, that was something that was really kind of hard for me, is what they display represents me in next level. And so just really, I meet with them a couple times before they ever start their first class, and just kind of really incorporating what we stand for at next level and kind of displaying that when we have members and when we're teaching classes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess, what does that look like? Do you have like a mission statement, or what does that look like? Like just making sure they're a good person, or like the type of training they're offering? What do you look for? And I guess just as a culture, as well as people who are leading the workouts.
Yeah, we don't have a slogan yet, and I've thought that we should probably add one, because there's a lot of things that we say a lot, but ultimately I want it to be a welcoming environment. I want it to be a place stress-free. We uplift each other here. And I want everybody to feel like no matter where they're at in their fitness journey, this is a place that they can step in the door and nobody's judging them. We're going to meet you where you're at. I am very, very strict with all of our trainers on we present these workouts, but we offer a lot of options as well, modifications, so that everybody has the chance to not feel like, oh, that's something I can't physically do right now, or whatever. We like to, we give a workout and we go through it, but we offer a lot of options to kind of meet everybody where they're at. And then we like to see that growth. And that's kind of where the old symbol came from too, is we're going to meet you where you're at and we're going to help you grow, whether that's, physically, maybe it's just mentally for some, maybe it's just showing up and doing the hard thing like we were talking about, and whatever that's like in their life. So that's definitely the atmosphere that we want.
Yeah, there's a few slogans right there that you just threw out. There you
go. I know.
So how many physical locations are you up to now?
So we have 2 locations, one in Rock Rapids, one in Larchwood. Our Rock Rapids one now has 2 rooms going. We have a heated studio and a non-heated studio. And then in Larchwood, we're just heated right now.
Mm-hmm. And what are the different types of classes you're offering? It's always fun hearing my mom and sister, who are big Next Level fans, hearing them saying like, "This class kicked my butt," or "I felt silly doing the boxing," or whatever it is. So what are those different classes that you offer?
Yes. When I started developing what our class schedule was going to look like, I very much wanted to have enough strength days in there that we could build muscle. But then I also wanted to break it up, give those larger muscle groups a break, and incorporate a little bit more of like the cardio classes. Who doesn't want to make some classes a little bit fun too? So it's now a very big mix, but our goal is for people to take 3 to 4 total body days. We used to separate those into upper and lower body days. What we were finding as we added classes was sometimes people were, hitting a lower body on this day, but then they were taking a box class instead of our upper body, and just kind of different things like that. And I also am a firm believer in kind of keeping that body balance, as I'm sure you guys are too, whether it's left, right, upper, lower, front, back, whatever. And so we decided to go to all total body with those classes. So we offer 3 to 4 total body workouts a day. And then we mix in some different fun cardio classes. Those look like just a lightweight sculpt class. It's all beat based. So you're like kind of like jive into the beat and groove of the music. Definitely a challenge, even if you're only holding 3 pounds of weight, but just a completely different cardio. And then we have just a cardio and core class where a lot of times it's just body weight and just getting those heart rates up. And then we'll break it up with some core work. And we threw in kickboxing, which has been a fan favorite. That is, it's so funny because you see these people come and exactly like they start off and they're like, "Oh, I kind of feel silly doing this or that." And by the end of the workout, we're literally like punching the air so hard that sweat is like hitting the mirror and hitting each other. And we're just laughing and having a good time. We were able to add box bags, actual bags here in Rock Rapids. So now in Larchwood, we kept it cardio kickboxing. And then in Rock Rapids, we're actually like gloving up and hitting on some bags too. So that's been a lot of fun.
Nice.
But no, like I said, no cycling, maybe someday. But I think that's in the summertime, we do what we call a strength and stride class. So then I had a lot of people that were like, "Oh, I like to enjoy the outdoors during the summer too." But I kind of encouraged them to not completely just quit and only run or walk, just because you're going to lose those gains that you just worked on for the last 6, 7, 8 months. So we developed this strength and stride class last summer where we do like a circuit and you count your reps in that one. And then we go out and I have a path marked out. So they go out, they can walk it, they can run it, they can kind of make it however challenging they want, and then come back in and hit those weights. So that's been a fun one as well.
Yeah. What does it look like from like an exercise selection and rep standpoint? Like I have it from the athlete side, like I'll do like a 4-week phase and then do something new, and it's kind of the same things for that 4 weeks. Are you like programming for every single class? Is it the same across locations? Is it changing week to week? What does that look like?
Yeah, that's definitely been a learn as you go thing. That is 100% what I had kind of going and in my mind when it was just me training. And then, you add on. So we're up to, it's a group of 9 of us now that instruct. And so it's nearly impossible to really set up like a phase like that. With that said, I do have certain members, and I open this up to all members. If they, excuse me, have like specific goals that they want to hit, I'll kind of talk them through, okay, like this is when we're going to really push, slow your reps down. Your goal in this time is going to be that 4 to 6 rep, lifting heavier. Your neighbor might be like repping out 8 to 12 reps because they're more in that maintenance phase, and I talk them through kind of different things like that. And I say that a lot in my classes too, like, hey, if your goal is to gain muscle, you're going to slow it down. You're going to lift heavier. If your goal is to show up today and really work out a cardio, grab the lighter sets and rep them out and get your heart rates up and keep them there. So I really try to be pretty like open and just kind of informative with that, with everybody. Make the workout your own to reach those goals, even though we're not necessarily phasing through different things.
Yeah. What does it look like in the space? Like, are they staying in one place, and what equipment do you have for adding resistance, or is it mostly body weight?
We have Yes. So I guess one of the classes I forgot that's like a fan favorite is we were able to add a circuit class in. So 90% of our classes, you come in, if you're in the heated studio, you're on a yoga mat. If you're in the non-heated studio, you're just in kind of a space. But we have them grab weights every time. We've got dumbbells ranging from 3 pounds up to 50 pounds. Then we use like yoga blocks, resistance bands. And then we did also add in a Pilates class just recently where we use like a weighted ring, and then we add just some 2-pound bangles to our wrists or our ankles. So we have all that equipment, and then of course have like the bags and gloves for box. So essentially somebody can just show up with their water bottle and everything's provided for them here. But most of our classes, they stay right in the same spot. The two exceptions would be, or the three, I guess, would be the strength and stride circuits. Then we set up stations and they move from station to station. And then the third one, boxing. And a lot of times you're on a bag for a little bit and then you'll swap out with your neighbor. And I have some other, whether it's an AMRAP or some core moves or whatever, while your partner's on the bag. Otherwise, the other ones, you stay in the same place, typically grab 3 sets of weights, kind of a light, medium, heavy, and then we go through the workouts right in that space.
Are you instructing everything on the front end, or is it kind of demonstrate as you go, or what does the teaching side look like?
Yeah, we kind of as you go. So most of our classes, we have a little bit of fun with the formatting of it as well, but in general, the classes look like 3 to 4 circuits of 3 to 4 different moves. And then you might do that anywhere from 2 to 4 rounds, kind of depending on the time and whatnot with the class. So what we typically do is we'll give like those 4 moves, and then we'll start the timer and we'll go through each of those 4 moves for however many rounds. And then they get a breather, grab that drink of water, rest up as we explain the next 4 moves, 5 moves, whatever kind of we're doing. And that's kind of how we look, or kind of how we do that.
Are you always taking part as you're leading the class?
Yes. And I know there's
Crazy.
some studios. Yeah, there's some that you don't actually do
You're
the
a
workout
beast.
with them, or you say like it's their workout, not yours. I personally encourage my girls to do at least the majority of the workout with them. And my reasoning behind that is typically when I'm starting to really poop out and like want to quit is most likely when they're all wanting to do it too. So like basically what I'm saying in my own head, I just say on the mic, and we're lifting each other up and we're kind of all pushing through it together.
Yeah.
That is very, very limiting though, like on the amount that you can actually teach, right? So that's probably definitely puts a stress on, all right, we got to keep adding for the number of classes, because that's also what I'm expecting of them. And we all need to be at our best, right? Because you're only seeing them once a day too. And so that's really cool that you do that. I didn't know you did that. That's tough, especially when you're building something, right? From like, I just think about how many days you had multiple classes and we're probably pushing through and
and so I did
multiple workouts or
that's what I was gonna say. I did try to kind of be smart. So if I knew I was doing 2 or like a small handful of times I had 3 classes, I would very much like do a couple reps with them and then back off, or maybe I would lift lighter weights or whatever, because obviously that's a lot on my body too. So then that nutrition and fueling your body always comes in play too. But yes, it's awesome to have other trainers on board, because I couldn't do all that I'm doing right now without them.
Yeah, I think that's huge for buy-in too, when the person who's telling you what to do is doing it themselves. And like, I can never work out with my athletes, but they knew that like I would never make them do something I wouldn't do. And I'm sure Brandon has seen workouts where coaches, they haven't done it. They've never tried what they have programmed. Like no human could possibly go through that. And it's like, so I think that's powerful to do that with them, for sure, from that sense. And
I enjoy being able, especially like females a lot too, but males too, and you guys can probably attest to this, there's certain times that you really need to focus on that muscle group that you're working, and So being able to like talk through that as you're doing it, I think has really helped too. Core specifically, getting people to actually engage their core the way that we should is nice to be able to do it along with them and kind of say what it should feel like because you're actually feeling it. Different things like that has been kind of cool.
Yeah.
What's the most amount of classes you've done in a day?
I think 3 has been my max. I don't think I've gone. That's not true. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
We did when we opened this studio. We did a next level on, and so I think I did 5 one day.
Yeah, that's
that
crazy.
was a lot. That was a lot. It was so much fun, and I was on such an adrenaline high. It was like you just kept going and kept going. And that night I sat down and I was just like, what did I just do to my body? That was so much.
That's crazy.
Get a big tub of ice cream after that one.
Yeah, right.
You earned
it.
Yeah.
What's from the nutrition side or supplement side? What are some things you preach? Is that a big part of your conversations or things you offer? What does that look like for you?
Yes, it is very big part. And it's part of. I'm excited to have this new space to be able to. I have kind of a whole wall and display of different things over here too to be able to just provide more. I'm a big preacher on protein. I don't think, and we think in the Midwest that we get enough. And so like, I don't know how many people I've been like, okay, let's sit down and let's talk about this and let's see how much you're actually getting. And then we have an InBody scale as well, which has been great resource. And so I can have them do an InBody and then I can sit down and we can talk through that and just help them realize we just on a daily basis, unless you are super cognitive of it, not hitting those protein macros, and like to just talk about kind of how that fuels your body, how that helps repair your muscles, all that good stuff. So definitely I push the protein. I always say, if you can eat your food and eat your supplements or whatever, eat first and then fill the gaps with this protein powder or protein balls, bars, whatever you got. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that I really push, especially because of the heated workouts that we do, is some kind of electrolytes. We sweat a lot. We lose a lot of that. So just replenishing those as well.
Is that something that like you implemented at times or always did from the beginning or didn't do and then felt the difference? Like,
yeah, I think I started taking my own electrolytes, and I use the Clean Simple Eats brand. It comes with like the amino and like the BCAAs as well as the electrolytes. And I started using that shortly after we got going, basically because I was realizing how much we are really sweating and detoxing and just all that stuff, and knew I needed to fuel afterwards. But I noticed a huge difference in my recovery time. I mean, I might be sore from workouts, and especially, when you up your weight and stuff, obviously it's normal to be sore, but my recovery time is so much better when I'm fueling my body right. And then the other thing, just as a nursing mom, I started working out again or instructing classes at 6 weeks postpartum. And I've been able to nurse all my kids an entire year through. I didn't, you hear like, okay, women are worried they're not going to work out because their supply will drop and different things like that. And I haven't had an issue with that at all. And I kind of just attribute that to eating enough calories and getting those electrolytes and kind of fueling my body right.
Speaking of the kiddos, how the heck do you balance everything you're doing with taking care of 7 children? And we were talking a bit before about all the activities they got going on. How do you balance that?
Mass chaos all the time. All the time. I am a very type B person, and so I think our house is probably more chaotic than most people could tolerate, but it doesn't seem to bother me. I don't know. The one area that I do try to stay more organized in is definitely our schedule. So I'm a good old fashioned paper and pen person, and I got it color coded with the kids so that we try not to miss a game. I'm not going to lie. We've never missed a game, but we've missed a practice before. So there's definitely that element in there. But yeah, I don't know. Jason helps a ton. Like he's always helping get the kids to and from places and helps out around the house. And yeah, I don't know. We just kind of wing it most of the time.
I love it. I guess what other goals do you have with Next Level, or where do you see it going? I know you talked about like cycling and the upstairs, and do you have other locations on the horizon or other like certifications you're eyeing? What's next for Next Level, you think?
Yeah, we would love to be able to do something upstairs. I don't know if that looks like, yeah, like a cycling or something kind of to add on to Next Level, or if it'd be something completely different. But I think it's a 3,500 square foot space. Unfortunately, it hasn't been touched since about like the 1940s. It's it's old up there.
Yeah.
And so it would take a lot of work. So we'll see what that kind of looks like. We are kind of keeping our eyes out for different city grants and stuff like that to help renovate older buildings. We are always open to different locations. I am a very, very, like, I want to be able to be present in it. So, or have some kind of, I like it that people know who I am. Like, it's not just we don't really know the owner of it. I like to be involved. So definitely something that I would want to be able to be close enough to be involved in, but nothing super. I mean, we've got ideas out there and stuff, but nothing like super in the works, I would say, for locations. Always open-minded to it. But my biggest thing right now would be I am currently working on a more of like a senior citizen, not senior citizen. That's what like the class is called. But in my head, I would like to turn it into a program that is strength training yet, but it's much more focused on like a slow pace and working on keeping that balance and mobility as we age, as well as keeping the muscle mass, helping keep that bone density, stuff like that. So I'd be looking at like a retirement age program. So getting ready to kind of roll that out here, hopefully really soon. I've had a lot of people in town that have said, I can't do, the pace of classes that you have, but I'd love to do something. So that kind of sparked me to go get that certification, and I'll finish that up here soon and hopefully be able to hit that demographic of people as well.
Yeah. Maybe you've already hit on it, but what's been the most difficult part of like running this so far, and what's been the most rewarding part of it?
Difficult part, a little bit of juggling the schedule. So I manually plug in the schedule. So like with our trainers, with the classes, and now we're doing, 3 rooms every morning, 2 rooms almost every afternoon. So kind of that balancing and kind of figuring that side of things out is definitely a little bit of a juggle. But I don't mind doing it. It just takes a lot of time. So I guess I would have to say the most difficult part is definitely when you live in a small town, you get to hear everybody's opinions. And fortunately, most of the time it has been very good things. And yeah, I've been able to take those and run with them. And every once in a while you get the other side of things. And so you just kind of have to grow some shoulders and just kind of take it a little bit here and there and move on. I think Jason has helped a lot in that department, where he's like, everybody's going to have their opinion. You're not going to make everybody happy. You got to just kind of let it go. And so my mind definitely wants to try to, like, I don't want to say like fix, but almost like defend myself. Hey, this is why we did this, or, whatever. And it's okay. Everybody can have their opinions. So definitely gotten some broad shoulders through that. And like I said, fortunately, that's been very, very minimal. The rewarding part is obviously the opposite. I have every single day where we're walking out of classes and somebody grabs me. And like I was saying earlier, they're like, hey, I had my checkup. My doctor was so impressed with my labs, like everything improved. Merely, this is the only thing I've changed, is I added these fitness classes in. Sometimes it's simply like, I got off the floor with my grandkid today and my hip didn't pop. Like I felt stronger getting up. Those are wins, man. And those are awesome. Yeah. And we say that all the time. Like, the big wins are great, but the small wins, enjoy those along the way too. And I really enjoy celebrating those with everybody.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm sure you don't have a lot of time for stuff outside of the business and work and kids, but are there any other hobbies that you're into or interests you have outside of what you're currently doing?
Yeah, there's not a lot of time for that, but and especially this season, we really enjoy golfing. And so that's kind of our out. Whether sometimes we hit up a 5:30 class, and after I kind of clean up the studio and wrap everything up, we'll go golfing at like 7 a.m. It's peaceful and quiet before everybody else gets out there. Friday afternoons, we like to hit up the course and enjoy some time with cousins, friends, whoever wants to come out there. So you guys let me know if you're around. But golfing is definitely our summertime hobby, I would say. During the winter, as if we don't go to enough games, we usually try to catch some more games. And yeah, that just kind of fills up any time we have.
Yeah. Brandon, any other questions?
No, it's just fun to listen to. Obviously, like living 4 hours away, like I have seen the progression, but haven't got to see like all the stories and stuff, and then to hear like our family talk about it, and just knowing where it's come and how it's grown, I think is really neat. I don't know how, like it's just a lot of like motivation. So just respect to you and like continuing to find the energy to show up every day for everybody, like physically as well as just like mentally. So I think that's really neat, and I think the demographic that you're trying to reach to is awesome, right? And like what a great resource for people that they go to a doctor's visit with their parent and needs to connect them with somebody, and there's a resource for that. I think that like will continue to show up. So no, keep going, and it's just really neat to hear about all of it. So
yeah,
cool. Yeah, well, thank you guys very much. It's fun to reflect on where we started and where we've gotten, for sure.
Yeah,
just getting started, going to the
moon.
That's right. Like that arrow in the back.
We're not even 2 years in yet.
That's right. Let's go. Well, appreciate you hopping on. Do you ever have any guys show up for any workouts?
Hey, we do. We are up to, I think, 7 guys now. So I'm
okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
I'll have to stop by and see what it's all about one of these times.
Hey, we had Lutmer come the other day. Zach Lutmer was in town. He stopped by the other day, so we got to enjoy
That's awesome.
him at next level. That was fun. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, no, on our routine, we have about 7 guys that come.
There we go. Awesome. Represent. Well, yeah, appreciate you hopping on and just sharing a little bit about your background and story, and just excited to see where this thing goes. So appreciate you hopping on and just the impact you're having.
Hey, thank you guys very much.
Perfect. Till next time. Thanks for listening to the show. If you enjoyed today's episode, leave a rating, review, or tell a friend to check us out. Be sure to follow us at SHRP_training for more content to help you be your best self. Go be great today.